Welcome back, my friends, to Dovii Forum's Insight Arena. The talking point in today's edition is going to be on the rise in the spat of terrorist attacks in India. For viewers who are tuned in from another country around the world, this video could be useful for you all too, especially if your nation is under a constant threat of terrorism. So for those who are watching this video but have still not subscribed to Dovii Forum, please go right ahead and subscribe to Dovii Forum and turn on your notifications so that you would be the first one to be informed each time I upload new content. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Violence is an attempt to impose one's will on another through force. In a world that is besieged with terrorism, India faces relentless threats from state-sponsored actors across its borders. It brings back ghastly memories when the Parliament of India was attacked in 2001. How can we forget about the Mumbai terror attacks, as we call it 26/11 in 2008? What about the attack in Uri on our sleeping soldiers, our guardians, in 2018? A movie too has been made on the retaliatory response of the surgical strikes conducted by India after the Uri attacks. It's not that between those years there hasn't been any other terrorist attacks. There have been. In fact, even today, there are still attacks taking place in India. I have just mentioned the few notable attacks that were carried out by state-sponsored actors from across the border. Despite presenting compelling evidences and dossiers to our not-so-friendly neighbors, the preparators of these attacks continue to elude justice and hide behind diplomatic immunity. The pen is truly mightier than the sword. But let's face it, it's easier to build a child than to repair an adult whose ideology they believe is supreme over all. Pope Francis once said, "Terrorism is not a religion, it is a crime." Now, I am not political nor am I religious to paint terrorism with the colors of religion attached. We are not going to discuss religion here today. I am just trying to drive home a narrative of what we as the people of India and any civilized world can be capable of. If we are to consider the words of Pope Francis to be politically correct and to not associate terrorism with a particular religion and to consider it a crime and a monster, then we have to be ahead of the curve. These terrorists that we speak of, these monsters, have nothing to fear. You eliminate one, there is another ready to take his place. And to me, a man who has nothing to fear has nothing to love. Their morals, their code, it's a bad joke. The anarchy that I see unleashed on this world, the only sensible way to live in this world is without rules. The time for a decisive action is now. We need a proactive solution to combat terrorism. I am a big fan of the Joker. And as the Joker in popular culture once said, and I quote, "Madness as we know it is like gravity. All it requires is a little push." Now I propose to introduce that little push, that little anarchy. Let's upset the established order and introduce chaos into their very beliefs. This country deserves a better class of justice. And I assure the viewers in this video that they will get a blueprint on what needs to be done to be assured that justice has been served. So like this video and share this video with as many people as possible. Ask them to do the same. It would definitely help us grow as a community, but more so in the hope that this video gets watched by the right people in power. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you the Covert Justice Initiative. It is a comprehensive strategy aimed at establishing a specialized organization that executes justice on the enemies of India that are hiding abroad, under the authority of the highest legal institutions like the Supreme Court of India and the President's Office. I am not talking about RAW, India's Secret Service, nor am I talking about these unknown gunmen, the talks that we hear doing the rounds these days. I am suggesting to create a legal framework for a specialized unit that operates under an ironclad umbrella that is in sync with this country's highest court and the President's Office. Before I continue, it should be worthy to note that the Covert Justice Initiative should only be put into effect for any individual case after all diplomatic efforts have been implemented and have reaped a negative or an ineffective outcome. For this Covert Justice Initiative to be fully operational, it would require us to look into 7 components. They act like 7 pillars that help it to be operational and enable it to work under the ironclad umbrella of the Government of India. So quickly, let's look into what are these 7 components. Number 1 is legal authorization. For this specialized unit and organization to be formed, we would require an enactment of legislation. Yes, that's right. We would require a bill to be introduced in the Parliament which grants legal authorization for covert operation and ensures transparency and legitimacy of the organization. Number 2 is funding. Allocation of sufficient resources to support the organization's operations, enabling swift and effective action. Number 3 is staffing. The recruitment of highly skilled individuals that specialize in intelligence, cover operations, and legal compliance, which is a must. Number 4 is training. Since staffing is not a real challenge in a country like India, the training should be short and comprehensive enough to equip the operatives with the necessary skills and knowledge to carry out their duties effectively and, most importantly, ethically. Number 5, protocols. There should be a development of clear and robust protocols that govern all operations, that ensures the adherence to legal and ethical standards in the manner in which all operations are carried out. Which means, say if there is a target A that is to be taken out, the manner in which target A is taken out should be ethical. There cannot be any additional human collateral damage in such operations. The rules that are laid out are strict. Anyone who breaks it are either expelled, they can face life imprisonment or even the death penalty. So in short, there should be zero oops moments in such operations. They have to be very well calculated with zero tolerance for error. So say once an Indian court declares an individual an enemy of the state, The file would go to the specialized unit, which we are talking about, the Covert Justice Initiative. So basically, they would act like a hangman. The power to terminate such operations would only rest with the President of India. So when an individual gets declared as the enemy of the state, they can be anywhere in the world. They would be having sleepless nights because one day or the other, it's just a matter of time before their daylights are put out. Number 6, overseas operations. The authorization to conduct such operations in coordination with other diplomatic channels and with the respect for international law. When abroad under mission, the operatives would be expected to abide by all laws of the nation that they are in to execute their task. Finally, number 7, providing legal immunity or protection. Efforts should be made in establishing mechanisms to provide legal immunity or protection to the operatives, safeguarding them from any sort of legal repercussions. Now some viewers watching this video might say, Ivan, are you mad? Have you gone off your rocket? I'd say no, I'm not mad. I'm just differently sane. You see, I am not a monster. I just wish to be ahead of the curve. And don't you all think they would be getting what they rightly deserve? Some viewers might argue, can't we have this mechanism in place by incorporating these 7 components or pillars for RAW, India's very own intelligence service? We can, but there are international repercussions for such a move. When we involve the face of our spy agency for such high-valued state-sponsored executions, it's best to create a separate entity that can work closely with our spy agencies without them being a part of their organization. Now let's talk a little about the challenges India would face when we enact the Covert Justice Initiative. There will be huge criticism internationally on all international forums as soon as the news breaks out, especially from our very friendly neighbors like Pakistan and China. Why? Well, because it compromises their very own sovereignty. Since these so-called non-state actors are harbored and given safe havens by them, trained and funded. But when this Covert Justice Initiative gets enacted, no place is safe for them. And second, it raises the cost on the countries that are harboring them, which means they now have additional cost of providing security to these miscreants who have now become high-value targets of India. So in short, it now raises the stakes for any sort of violence unleashed upon India by these terrorists. And thirdly, it would risk exposing the state actors that fund, train and harbor them. So to sum it up, there will be a lot of unhappy fronts when this proposal becomes a reality. That fear is good. That fear is a must, that India will come knocking on your door one day. In fact, in any civilized society, that is how the courts operate to curb the crimes. The sentencing, what are the sentencing? They are the consequences of the crimes that have been committed. The reason these terrorists are able to operate with brute force every time, because there is a complete absence of consequences, be it a terrorist or civil society. We humans are all violent, with varying degrees of violence in each one of us. If we were not, we wouldn't be having so many wars being fought in all corners of the world. So with this Covert Justice initiative, let's create a monster and give these terrorists something they feel threatened with. Let us get under their skins. As the Joker once said, it's not about the money, it's about sending home a message that they will all burn. The duty of the government is to protect their citizens, be it a layman or a soldier, not to watch them die. The Covert Justice initiative that I speak of, if introduced, would be a testament to our commitment to protecting our citizens and upholding justice. It would be a bold step forward in our fight against terrorism. Some of you all might frown at what I am suggesting, but this is not something new or not heard of before, what I am suggesting. We do have an organization that functions exactly in the same manner I mentioned and imparts justice to the enemies of the state that hide from justice abroad. The organization that I speak of, many would have already guessed by now, it's none other than Mossad, the Israeli spy agency. It has earned both criticism and marvel for the various impossible feats that they have achieved. Israel and India are friends, we are like brothers. Can't we adopt a similar outlook to delivering justice for the crimes that are being committed against our motherland? It is something to ponder upon. Personally, I feel this blueprint should be adopted. Try speaking to the families that have lost their loved ones. Put yourself in their place. Both the ones that have lost their lives and the families that have lost their loved ones due to these attacks. Their loss cannot be measured. Their pain is heartbreaking. Put yourself in their place. Then you will understand. What are your thoughts? Do shed light in the comments below. If you think India and other civilized countries should take such a tough stand, then like this video and share this video around so that the voice of the people reaches the ears of the government. I think it's vital that we legalize this system of serving out justice to anyone who uses violence against India. The message should be loud and clear. If you are the enemy of the state, it doesn't matter where you are, which country you are in. India will get to you. Join us in supporting India's quest for security and justice. Share this vital information around. Raise awareness. Let us stand united in the face of terrorism. That's all for today. See you in my next video on Insight Arena. Subscribe to Dovii Forum, turn on your notifications, and don't forget to hit that like button. This is Ivan Jude Smith signing off.